Okay, little preparation for a mushroom paella, or what you would call here in Valencia, you would call a arroz de setas. We have some, these are a local variety of mushroom, rebollon, and we have portobellos, I don't know, not the greatest I've seen, and then just some button mushrooms. I have some grated tomato for the sofrito, which is very Spanish. A little bit of pork rib meat, some longaniza sausage, morcilla, blood sausage, and blanquette, a local favorite for embutidos or sausages. And I got some green beans, some garafo, butter beans, and white beans. This is I buy these. I buy these frozen. It's a little mixed package for paella, which is quite handy, and they're actually pretty good. Like, the beans aren't cooked rather well. If you did this, if you had to do this every time you made paella, it'd be a complete pain in the ass to come up with these beans and do it fresh. And a little something for the cook. Some olives. The lady told me what these were. Some little old lady was standing next to me, and I forget what they're called. Marcidas, I think. These little black olives. Then we got these partidas, these big split. They split these when they cure them. And then the moradas, big purple olives. Glass of red. This is local from Utiel, Requena. I'm trying to buy as much wine from Valencia as I can. For spices, I've got pimenton, which is Spanish smoked paprika. I hate calling it that because it's really something else. I have the spicy kind and the sweet version. Some saffron, and I use this Paella stuff. I really like this. It's got a little trace elements of. It says it has azafran, but just trace elements of that. But it's better than most of the colorings they use for paella. And I've got some stock here I made from cocido. My new paella pan. What is this? I don't know what size this is. 42 centimeters, something like that. So I have a 46, a 42, and a 38. These are really cheap in Spain, and they're totally indestructible. You cannot, if you burn the shit out of something in this, and it just scrapes right off. Really good quality, very good, very inexpensive. This was 14 euros, not bad. Okay, first I'm going to heat up some olive oil and fry the meat. I'm just going to be cooking the longaniza, this sausage, and the rib meat, because the morcilla and blanquettes don't really need to be cooked. You just need to, I'll put them in when I add the stock, and they just need to be heated. Okay, the pan is pretty hot here. Too hot, actually. Okay. Drop a little. Okay, I'm going to add a little salt to these at this point. Now, one thing I've learned about mushrooms is you really want to cook them down really well. Super cooked. Otherwise, like al dente doesn't really go well with this. Al dente mushrooms anyway with this dish. Okay, the mushrooms are cooked down pretty well. We're going to add the tomato, sofrito, I'm heating up my stock too. So when I pour it in, it's pretty much boiling. Okay. It's just kind of hard to do with Okay, next I'm going to add the pimenton. Picante and dulce. Oh shit. Pimenton. Okay, I had a little pimenton accident where the lid came off the goddamn thing. So I'm trying to do this by myself. So I fished out as much as I could. And I've thrown in some wine now to, I don't want to burn the pimenton. Usually wine is not part of a paella process, but I was a little short on stock, and I think it'll be just fine. Just cook the mushrooms down a little bit more. Bring the temperature up a bit. Okay, I'm going to throw in a little rosemary. I picked that in the country. Just leave this in for a while. I find it's, you leave it in for too long, it's very overpowering. I like rosemary, but I don't want to just taste rosemary. And I've been tasting this as it goes along for salt. I've added a little, like maybe a cup and a half of water to this, just because I'm letting it saute or simmer for a while, and we're losing a lot of water. The reason I'm simmering is because the mushrooms weren't sauteed really long enough. As I said, you want those to be very well cooked. Otherwise, I don't know, I don't like that texture of the rebollones, the wild mushrooms when they're. I like them to be pretty well cooked down, and it also releases a lot of flavor into the stock. So you're just gonna have to take my word on it that this stock is really good. Well, the stock that I started with, from the cocido, was super rich. So then you have the flavors from the sausages and the pork and the mushrooms all coming together, and that's will all be infused into the rice. You're going to put in the blanquet, they're really fat guys, and morcilla, which means I'm just about ready to add the rice. Like I said, these don't need to cook, they just need to warm up. So I'm going to add the rice. Valencianos even have a way to put in the rice, which is, they put it in the form of a cross, which is pretty silly. I mean, as I told one friend of mine here, I respect tradition, but not superstition. So, as I'm an atheist, I don't make the sign of the cross. So I've added the rice. I want to mix it around a little bit, and then, like with all paellas, you don't touch it after that. You don't stir it. You can shake the pan a little bit, but you don't stir it. I'm going to take this rosemary out in a minute, and then as soon as I've got this all situated, I'll time it for about 16 minutes, and that should be that's about all the cooking time it needs. I have to watch the temperature, give it maybe one final hit for salt, but I think it's fine. And I've turned the heat down a little bit. It just needs to, I see it's bubbling, but it's not going crazy, like a crazy boil. And one thing I've said about paella, which I really like, is when you're done, you've got one pan. If you're organized like I am and cleaned up after yourself. Something I learned from my great grandmother, who was Spanish. Actually, I never knew the woman, but I did have a great grandmother who was Spanish, believe it or not, from Soller, Mallorca, as I've learned since I lived here. Curious fact. Okay, so at 13 minutes, no reason to panic, plenty of wine, and still a few olives left. And that's it. It actually came out perfect as far as the timing. Well, I'll just let it rest. A lot of Valencianos put some newspaper over the top. I don't even have any newspaper, but I don't really like that idea. I put a dish towel over it sometimes, but I think I'll just, I've turned the heat off, but these burners still stay hot. So I'm just going to put it on a carving board and just let it rest for a couple minutes. It seems perfect. There's very little fluid left, which will it'll evaporate and soak into the rice. The socarrat, the bottom burnt layer, I can just tell this by the way it moves that it's just right. That's a delicacy here in Valencia, the socarrat, little burnt rice at the bottom. I really love that, and I'm pretty good at it. Okay, so it's sat for a while, and that is Arroz de Setas, or mushroom paella for the English-speaking crowd.